This is a tutorial about building a portfolio that's optimized for a tablet computer. In this case, either a PDF document or an EPub fixed layout document. So today I'm going to show you a portfolio that has a cover with a title and an image on it. It's going to have a table of contents that we will also create some hyperlinks to be able to jump back and forth between the table of contents and various chapters within the portfolio. And you'll notice that it will include not only a visual portfolio but also an artist statement, an artist resume, and an artist biography that will include a short video reel as well. The portfolio will have a combination of multiple images sequenced together, and it will also include some other possible options. In this case, some written text in my case, because I do writing as well as photography, an artist statement, a resume, as well as a about the artist biography page, and we'll actually include some multimedia content with that. So to begin with, we're going to create a new document. And we want to change the intent for digital publishing. This will automatically choose a page size that's optimized for either an iPad, or if we were looking for an Android 10-inch tablet, we could do that. But generally the iPad is a good way to go. Also, I'm going to set the number of pages to start with, about 20 pages to begin with. We can always add more or delete if we don't need them. And I'm going to set the orientation for landscape mode. I'll hit OK. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is, with the e-publication file, I'm generally working with a single page at a time because that'll be optimized for looking and zooming in on individual images. But I want to go ahead and design a page and have a master that has a ruler that divides that page in half, so I can kind of, if I want to put two-page look to a particular layout, I will go ahead and have that on there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my double-click on my master page. And because we're designing for essentially a web-type presentation, everything's in pixels. It's 1024 by 768. So I'm going to click over on the ruler here and drag it across to the middle of the frame, and half of 1024 is going to be 512, and I'll leave that ruler there. Also, I'm going to put in a page number. We're going to go ahead and put a page number by drawing a text box, and we'll just put it right there, and we'll go under type, insert special character, markers, current page number. Okay. Now what that's going to do is allow me to have navigation based on page number. I'm going to put it at the bottom right corner. I'm going to go ahead and change the alignment to the right on there, and I'm also going to change the typeface. Now my style is very old-fashioned style, so I'm going to use something like a copper plate typeface that would be more like the leaded type that would have been used in old printing press days, and you can choose whatever font expresses your personality. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put a kind of a home text page as well, and I'll come back and explain that a little bit later. But basically I'm drawing a text box. I'm going to change the font to that copperplate light font, copperplate Gothic light, and I will go ahead and adjust where that is on my page as well. And I'll bring a ruler down to make sure that my page number and my home page is relatively the same spot. So I've got the top of the letters lined up here. Okay. Now I don't want that home to be such a distraction by being a dark black on there. So I'm actually going to select that, and I'm actually going to change that type color up here, and I'm going to create a new color swatch. And I'm going to set this is a 256 RGB colors. I could actually change this to, well, we'll just go ahead and leave it 256 here. I'm going to go ahead and set it in the middle, which would be 128 all the way down. And that's going to create a middle gray value, kind of like a gray card. And now you'll see that that page is, that home, now you'll see that the index, the link back to the home won't be quite as dark. Okay, so now I'm going to go to my cover page, which would be my first page here. And you'll notice it's got the A master page on that, and I don't want anything on the cover. So I'm actually going to go to up here on the pages, I'm going to go assign or apply master to pages. And I'm going to say I don't want a master page for that first page. That's my cover page. By doing that, my home and my page numbers disappeared. And also, before I get too far into this, I'm going to save this document. Now, prior to this demo, I have created a file folder that has all my linked graphics. I've gathered all my digital assets for this, and I'm just going to call this my iPad portfolio. Save that. Now I'm going to go to File and Place, and I'm going to go to my links, and I'm going to find my first image, and for this image I've decided to select this image that I made in North Dakota. I'm going ahead and center that on the page. You'll notice the magenta lines come up to tell me I'm in the center of the page. Next, I'm going to go ahead and grab a text tool, and I will, if I hold down the space bar, I can actually move where that text tool starts, and I'll bring it across, and I will go ahead and put a title to this portfolio. In this case, I'm calling it Memories of Places I Have Known. Okay, I'm going to center that on the page. Now I've got my text box a little off there. I'll go ahead and adjust that so now I know it's perfectly centered. And I'm going to change my font back to that copper plate, and I'll crank up the size of the typeface. And I think I'm going to make it so that it's almost the same width. And now I'm going to make sure I have all my letters capitalized on the first letter of each word. And I'll just bring that down. And I can use my arrow keys to kind of make subtle adjustments. For this image, I'm going to go ahead and put another text box. Got my tool. And I'm going to say North Dakota, August of 2012, which is when I made that image. So I'll give a little identifier to it. And I'll go ahead and select that, and I don't need a large size for that at all. It's just a little piece of information. And then, since I'm building this cover to look like a matted print, I'm going to go ahead and put my signature on here. So I'd actually signed a piece of paper and scan that in, and now I can put my signature. Okay, but again, that feels kind of distracting, so I'm going to go ahead and change the opacity of that signature down. to a gray, so it'll look more like a pencil signature. And if I hit a preview, I can say, yep, that's my cover. Okay, now I'm going to go to my next page, and this is going to be my table of contents page. And so I'm going to draw a couple of text boxes. And I will go ahead and put in some titles here. So I'm going to have my portfolio page, a couple. I'm going to have an essay that I've written, actually 2 essays. I'm going to have an artist resume. Actually, I think I'll do my artist statement first. So artist statement and artist resume and artist bio. Now I'm going to go ahead and change the font to match up with what I've been doing with the copper plate, because that's kind of my brand identity. Remember to save periodically. And I'm going to drag a text box. By the way, you'll notice I'm having a little difficulty here. If I'm inside the margins, it doesn't want to let me draw a custom text box. So I'm actually starting outside the margin. It allows me to create a custom sized text box. I'm going to go ahead and just call this table of contents, and again change the font. I'm going to center this, and I'm going to go ahead and center it now with the ruler that I set on there. Okay, so now that's all centered. Bring that down. Now the other thing is, again, I don't want my home button that I'm going to create later on is going to come back to this page. I don't need the home button on the table of contents page. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go up to my masters page under pages there, the A master, and I'm going to say duplicate master spread, A master. And now I've got this B master that I'm working on that I can now get rid of this button, but the page number is still, that special character page number is still there. So now I can come to page 2 where my double click on that will pull that up, and I will actually go up under pages and apply master to pages, and instead of the A master I'm going to select the B master without the home button. I'm also going to take this column here and copy and paste that. And I'm going to just kind of grab both of these and just visually center them a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and select this column here, and I'm going to, instead of left align, I'm going to make it right align, because I'm going to eventually add some page numbers. And I'm going to use a different typeface. I'm going to use a Times New Roman, which is very readable. And I'm probably going to change that to a italic, so that'll be kind of like a quotation sort of thing. So those will be the titles of the various portfolios. I know what my first portfolio is going to be called. It's based on a essay I've written called "I'm Still Here," and the essay is about reasons I love Spokane, and I have another essay I'm going to include in this called Leap of Faith. And then my artist statement is the main theme of my artist statement is describing my work, and I describe my work as a literary photograph. And then my resume is actually an exhibition exhibitions and awards. And then my artist bio will be about Ira Gardner. So that'll all be there. So we've got that in there. Now I'm going to go ahead and page down to the next page and start laying out my images. Now I'm going to go ahead and just look for the image I want, and this is the image I want for the first one. And I will drag, and I can move that, center that right there. Interesting story about this. I'm going to have that same issue of having my text box. I have to start outside the margins. Okay, I'm going to put that under there. I'm going to put Sprague, Washington, and this was taken in 2013. So I'm going to select that, I'm going to center it, I'm going to change to my copperplate font, and I'm going to shrink down the text to a small. Now I can go ahead and take a look, preview. There's my screen. But anyway, interesting story about this is this actually is the station wagon that Ansel Adams used and had a platform on top of that he would photograph on top of. I've had it from that story from 3 reliable sources telling me that a collector bought this station wagon and moved it up to Sprague, Washington. I happen to like it because it reminds me of John Steinbeck's Grapes of Wrath. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and start laying out our portfolio. Okay, so I've gone ahead and laid out the rest of my portfolio. I've added an image to the table of contents. I've got a title and image for my portfolio. I've got my portfolio images laid out. And I've included a couple of essays in here. Okay, so now I'm at the About the Artist page, and I've got my little bio, I've got my self-portrait, I've even added a little kind of quote saying I'm a storyteller who's available for assignment worldwide, with my phone numbers in both LA and Spokane, so I'm actually inviting people to contact me. And I want to place a video in here that is a short video reel that's got no narration to it, but it just shows a variety of clips of me making images. So I'm going to click and drag, after I've hit the place button, click and drag that to line up with the text column that I have in there. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to let that place in there. I will, oops, get rid of that. Go back to my selection tool here. I'll go ahead and raise this up out of the way a little bit. And now you'll notice that the video is a different proportion than the frame that's in it. And for whatever reason, we don't want to handle this. Deselect there. I'm going to select it, and I'm going to bring up the I want to show you the media panel is underneath interactive here. So I've got the options here to set play on page load. The poster is set to the current frame. If I want to change that, I can change it to any frame within the film, but actually I think the beginning with the close-up of the camera is not a bad one. And I'm going to turn on the controller to skin over all, so that if I roll over, I'm going to select the show control over rollover, and that'll allow the viewer to turn the video off, fast forward, etc., so that they're not stuck without any control over whether they're listening to it or not. Also, I can go ahead and go to Object and Fitting and Fit Frame to Content. will shrink that frame up to just the size of the window there. So let's go ahead and take a quick preview here, and we can see how this page is looking. Okay, so now that I've got my video placed, I'm going to go ahead and close the media panel. We've got everything set up there. And I'm just going to page all the way up to my table of contents. And it went a little too far. You'll notice I put page numbers in to match with the pages on where these various items are. And now we're going to create some links to HyperNavigator, or we're going to create some hyperlinks to navigate to and from the various pages. So what I'm going to do first is I need to set anchor points within my document that are destinations for where these hyperlinks are going. So I'm going to actually come in here and page down, and I'm going to select the text on the page, and we're going to go to Window, Interactive, and I'm going to pull up my hyperlinks window, or my panel I should say. I'm going to click on that and go New Hyperlink Destination. And I'm going to name it, and you'll notice it automatically wants to name it by the text that's in there. So I'm still here is that destination. I'm going to scroll down to the next stopping point in my document, and that's going to be this essay here. So I'll select the title of the essay, I'll come to the hyperlinks panel and create new hyperlink destination, and there it is, Reasons I Love Spokane. I'll set that. I'll go down, oops, went too far. Here is my essay Leap of Faith, and I'll come here and say a new hyperlink destination. Next one down is my artist statement, new hyperlink destination, and it says text anchor artist statement. And I'll go ahead and select exhibitions on my resume, display resume here, and new hyperlink destination, hit OK. And finally we get to about the artist and new hyperlink destination, and I'll say OK. So now I will go up to my table of contents. I've got all my destinations, and I'm actually going to do one more, and that is the table of contents destination, and new hyperlink destinations there, and I'm done. Okay, now I'm going to select each of my items, and now I'm going to create a new hyperlink, and I'm going to select text anchor, and I'm going to select the I'm Still Here link, destination link. And I'm just going to go back and forth on both these columns and create a new hyperlink that goes to each of my destinations. So, edit hyperlink, that's text anchor, great, and no highlight, boom. Now it went ahead and created it kind of like a web page there. It changed the color, and I'm going to go to new hyperlink. We'll just kind of go through this. This is the first essay, which is Reasons I Love Spokane. And I'm going to turn off the underline feature and go to new hyperlink, Reasons I Love Spokane. Undo the underline here. And this is the second one, which is the Leap of Faith. Oh, yeah, turn that off. We'll come back and change the font color all in one fell swoop here. So new hyperlink here, Leap of Faith. Command-Shift-U turns off the underline on those. And hyperlink. And this is the, which one am I working on? The artist statement. Okay, so that is my artist statement link, destination. And I'll come back and fix that in a moment. Artist statement, underline, I'll come back, underline. And new hyperlink, here's the resume. Here we go. Under character style, I can turn off and say none on that. So that's probably what I needed to do. There we go. So I'll go new hyperlink, and there is my exhibition. And again, the character style is set to none. So I'll go back and be able to fix those either easily. And then finally, the new hyperlink to the About the Artist page. About the Artist page. So now I'll come back to each of these and I'll just go edit hyperlink and change the style to none on each of those. Almost done with these. Set the style to none, and so everything looks just the way we planned it. Okay, now the next thing is I need to get my index on my master page. Okay, my next step then is to, you'll notice on each of the subsequent pages now, I have that home button. Well, I need to define that home button. So I'm going to double click on my master page and I'm going to select the home word and go to my hyperlinks and go new hyperlink. And I'm going to select the table of contents link, and again the style is none. And so now I have that link available on every page. So I now have a table content link, and I have my home page back to the table of contents on every page. I'm just going to do a quick Shift W, which is to go to View, Screen Mode, Presentation, Shift W. I'm going to page through my document, make sure there's any layout issues that need to be dealt with. Everything's kind of laid out fine, it looks like. Okay, this page I could probably go a little bigger, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust that page. Select that image. Kind of resize it. In fact, I'll come up here. Yeah, I like that a lot better. And I'll center it. And I'll do another quick Shift W. That's got a little more impact. Going through the pages. Everything's there. So now I am ready to export. Now that we're at the, we've done our final walkthrough of our portfolio, we've got our layout the way we want it, we're now ready to export it. I'm going to go ahead and go to File and Export. And I could export this as a interactive PDF or a EPub fixed layout. I'm going to recommend an EPub fixed layout and say I'm going to go ahead and name it. And I've added the numbers. This is IRA EPub Portfolio 150, and those numbers represent the pixel resolution of the images that I'm exporting. I only need 72 pixels per inch to be able to see the image at full resolution on the screen. However, by having twice that much, a little over twice that much, that's going to allow me to zoom in on the tablet. So I want to be able to give the viewing experience to allow you to really hone in on the details of that document. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Save there. The export, I'm just going to go through the screen. The range is going to be all pages. The cover is going to be rasterized, the first page, to convert it to a graphic. I'm not using the navigation table of contents. Leave that alone. We've created our own table of contents with our hyperlinks. Conversion setting, I'm going to leave it to automatic. It'll determine whether or not to use JPEGs or PNG files, etc. I'm going to set the resolution to 150, and then the next step is actually we're not messing with any of the Cascade style sheets or JavaScript, but we do want to go in and put our metadata in here. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a title. And this is Memories of Places I Have, there's that capitalization, Places I Have Known. I'm going to give my name. I'm going to give today's date. And this is a description here of words and images by photographer Ira Gardner. I'm going to use my Gardner Media Group as the publisher, and I'm going to make sure to put a copyright 2015 Ira Gardner, and subject is going to be fine art and photography, also travel photography and literature. So these are all the keywords. The identifier, I'm just going to leave that alone. That's a unique code in there. And I'll go ahead and look at viewing apps, and I'll just use the default iBooks app. And I'll hit OK. And that will export our document, and we'll be ready to upload it. What I generally do is upload to a Dropbox and then download to my iPad from my own Dropbox account. Then I have my portfolio ready to show to potential clients. Okay, so we've exported our EPub file. We've got that ready to go. I'm also going to show you that we can export an interactive PDF, and if we have any doubts of whether or not we can play this on other devices, a PDF is readable on virtually every machine, including desktop computers. So we will change our file name from EPub to PDF, IRA PDF Portfolio 150. We're going to select Interactive for a Adobe PDF Interactive. I'm going to hit All Ranges, Spreads, View After Exporting, basically all the defaults, including open in full screen mode, and then page transitions. I just go ahead and use Fade. It really doesn't make a whole lot of difference, other than I can tell you the dissolve looks as bad as a terrible PowerPoint presentation. It's very clunky, that sort of thing. And then compression is going to be a JPEG compression, and we want a high quality image, and again that resolution is going to be 144 pixels per inch on that. And I'll go ahead and hit OK, and that's all there is to it for exporting a PDF file. What's nice about it though is after it's done exporting it, it will open it in Adobe Acrobat so that we can actually test our links out. So when it opens up in Adobe Player, it's going to say, do you want to allow it to go to full screen mode? And I will say yes for this time so that you can see what this PDF portfolio looks like. You'll notice if I click on it, it just goes to the next page, a nice little fade out. Also, it has a link that takes me to the portfolio. I'll check my home button back, and that takes me back to the table of contents. I'll click all the way down to my biography, and you'll see that that actually loads and launches the video just as we had planned. And I'll hit the escape button, and we're done testing our document.